Hello and welcome to the Avrum Rosensweig show. I'm delighted to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. If you've wondered what my podcast is all about, in really simple terms, I'm honoring humankind. And why am I doing that? Because I think what we've created here in the last 5,000 years or perhaps 6 billion years is something truly magnificent. Problem is that we have some pockmarks. That being said, if we were able to concentrate on the beauty that we have developed, that we have created, I think that would be a wonderful path towards peace. Now, part of this is doing inspiring interviews. I am fascinated by people's stories, especially storytellers. And I like nothing more than finding people who have accomplished something really special in life and have done so with that zest, with that verve that we speak of. Today's guest, in light of that, is Sam Firstenberg. Sam, how are you?
Excellent. Thank you. And I'm happy to be here with you in your show.
I'm so happy that you're here, and I love your accent, by the way.
What can I do?
I love your accent. Now, Sam Firstenberg, who was born Shmulek, so I may go back and forth throughout the show, was born in Poland. However, later on, he moved to Israel, and then in 1972, he came to America. He is best known for having made low budget B movies most of his career, among them the first two films in the American Ninja series, American Ninja and American Ninja 2. We're going to talk about these movies and other movies. He's made 24 movies throughout the show, and I am fascinated to have this opportunity to speak with you, Sam, because I think what you have done is absolutely brilliant. So let's start the interview with. So you're born in Poland. Your parents went through the war in Russia. You moved to Israel, and then you come here to America. And at some point in time, having all these nationalities in your head, you decide that the path you're going to take in life is to make movies. How did you make that decision?
I'll tell you. But first of all, we moved on. We moved to Israel early on in my life.
Yes.
I arrived in Jerusalem when I was 6 months old. So I don't have any memories from Poland. I don't remember the language, hardly the Polish language. I cannot speak it. Of course, I don't read it, etc. So I grew up in Jerusalem proper. And why are we storytellers? We don't know. Why are you a storyteller? Why am I a storyteller? So we are born into it, something in our brain or whatever. Some people are born to become doctors, and other people are born to make bread every morning for other people. And some people are here to tell stories and that's way back. People living in the cave, they had a little campfire in the evening, and everybody was listening, and one of them had the talents to tell the stories.
Yes.
So that's how humanity is. So here we are. Some people tell stories through movies, some others, other means. I was fascinated by movies. When I was a little boy, I grew up in the German colony, Moshava Germanit in Jerusalem, and there was a theater in our neighborhood, a neighborhood theater, Smadal, the Smadal Theater, Kolnoa Theater. And it was my habit since when I was very young, 5, 6, 7. They played in a matinee. They played two movies for one ticket, and I used to go every week. They changed the movies every week, and I was sitting there, fascinated by this media, by this whole idea that you sit in a place that go dark, theatrical, just like opera or if you say theater. And then on this big screen, a magic happened. Huge characters, big characters will appear on the screen and tell a story and reveal a story. It happened to be through visual means. And for some reason, I was fascinated by it, I guess. Later on, I started, as a teenager. So it's a habit that I kept until I left, until 18, until I was drafted, until the end of high school. But I was also very involved, interested in photography as a young man, and theater. I was always appearing, directing, involved in youth theater. So maybe all of this together, with the urge to tell stories led me to this specific media and not to theater or not to writing books.
Do you remember any of them? Do you remember any of the movies that you watched at Theater Smadar?
Sure, absolutely. Most of the movies, 90% were Hollywood movies, American movies. Here and there, we'll see Italian movie, we'll see a French movie, but most of them were after World War II, post World War II movies. Mainly westerns,
Yeah.
mainly westerns,
Yeah.
but all kind of adventures. The Seven Voyage of Sinbad, the
Yes.
sailor, or on a different level, the Bridge over River Kwai, but mainly westerns. Some musicals, of course, King and I. what what else? But yeah, but so some movies will stick in my memory. But the adventures, a lot of crime movies, they were very popular at the time. Gangster.
Who did you go with to the movies?
Myself,
You went by
always,
yourself?
maybe with friends, but it was my
And
I'm a kid.
how old were you?
Starting 6 years old, I would say,
Really?
from first grade. It's a neighborhood theater, so you don't have to drive to the city. It's nothing. It's you take. My mother gives me the whatever the little change that I have to go. We go with friends, and it's in the afternoon. We used to after school, so it
So
usually was like 1 o'clock, 1 p.m., one in the
and
afternoon.
even at that age, would you come home and tell your mother or father about the movie?
Not only them, I was the kid who will sit later and tell the movie to the rest of the kids who didn't go to the theater.
Really?
There is always this one kid who goes
Yeah.
to the movies and comes back home and tells the movie, describes and tells the movie to the other kid. This was me.
Did you like John Wayne? The the
Yeah,
the, the
the
Western
Western. I cannot tell you now that at 7 I recognize John Wayne, but
Yes. Yes.
Westerns I very much, and I usually identified myself with the underdogs. I would root for the Indians, not for the Cowboys. Usually, I remember.
Do you know why that was? Do you know
oh,
why that was?
Once again, the other big thing that I remember is the Tarzan movies. Tarzan really impressed me. Johnny Weissmuller.
Yes.
Why it was? Uh, we grew up. We grew up in a neighborhood, in an atmosphere of immigrants. Everybody in Moshava Germany today it's an upscale neighborhood, but then it was a very poor, working class neighborhood of all immigrants, Olim Hadashim, immigrants who arrived to Israel from all countries in the world. So our neighborhood, you would have Moroccan and Romanians and Iraqis and Hungarians, and you will hear all the languages. We used to hear all the languages together going, and different type of cultures were presented to us. I actually when we arrived to Israel, we lived in a transition camp in Talpiot, Ma'abara. It used to call Ma'abara. There were so many people came to Israel in the 50s, 51, 52. We lived in camps, in huge transition camps. And this was poverty, poor. Of course, as a kid, you don't know that you live in poverty. You don't understand. It's the same, the same happiness. But that's how I grew. So maybe, just maybe, it's hard to analyze. But maybe that's why I always rooted for the underdog, for the losers, because I grew up in this milieu, in this atmosphere. That's how I grew up.
So your father was Aryeh. Your mother was Rivka.
Mhm.
What were they like, Sam? What sort of people were they?
My parents were working class. The entire neighborhood was working class. They were working class. Uh, my father worked for the government all his life, for the labor department, for the government. My mother had a little business. She was a seamstress,
Yeah.
and she had a business going on the side. So she was between homemaker and business woman. Sewing for people, for women, and so they had business. So slowly, of course, when they arrived to Israel in 1950, everybody was poor. The food was rationed in 51, 52, 53. until 1954, food was rationed. The country was poor. But then they started to establish themselves. My parents, they made some money here, some money from work, saving, and we moved to a better neighborhood in Jerusalem, Beta Kelem. Beta Kelem is a high-class neighborhood. So we were like foreigners. Now we moved to a neighborhood of high-class people.
Highfalutin.
Highfalutin people. I went to Beta Kelem school. This is a school with a good reputation and
Were you?
and veteran population from before the independent war. This is a very established population of Jerusalem,
Vatikim.
Vatikim, but also professors from the University of Jerusalem and high-end population.
I think Menachem Begin used to live in Beit Kerem, if I'm not mistaken.
At the end of his life, he's from Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
But
were you close with your parents? Did you talk to them?
Yeah, we were. Yeah, we were very. It was a happy family. My parents did not carry over some kind of bad feeling or memories from the Holocaust. They did not suffer from the Nazis proper. They were expelled. They went to Russia.
Yes.
They spent the entire war of Russia, but they lost the entire family. From my father's side, I had one uncle left, and from my mother's side, I have one uncle left, so they lost everything, their parents, everything. But overall, they did not carry over a bad feeling or traumatic behavior. People that enjoy life. They went to parties and theaters. And my father was particular. My father was a violinist. Before he came to Israel, he was a music teacher. In Poland, he was a music teacher. So a conductor, music, violin. So they loved music and theater, and we had that. But very normal. I as a kid, I didn't. As a kid in Israel, school, youth movement, the country was kind of a socialist in the 50s and 60s. The influence,
more than kind of.
Yeah, especially in our quarter. There are some other. Ramat Gan was a revisionist. They were in Ramat Gan. They were Jabotinsky followers. But Jerusalem was Haifa. Jerusalem, pretty leftist, pretty left socialist country. And this was my school. The school that I went to had a very socialist influence. And so my parents. That's how we grew up. Normal, very normal childhood. Nothing.
You know what I find very interesting about your father? We'll compare it to my grandfather, my mother's father, Moshe Chaim Flicht. He died in 1973, 2 weeks before my bar mitzvah. He was a chazan. He was a cantor, and he had a beautiful voice, a shene stimmer, like they say in Yiddish.
Yes.
But he couldn't make a living by it. So what he did was he worked in a slipper factory for about 40 years. And on the high holidays and some of the Shabbats, he would go to these various different synagogues and he would sing. And he would sing beautifully, right? And what I find fascinating about these people, Sam, like your father, during the day, he would work for the government. Yeah. And then I'm sure at night or on weekends or what, he would perform with his violin.
My father, I would like to emphasize or mention that we grew up totally secular,
yes,
non-religious. In my neighborhood, in my at the time in the elementary school, the two elementary school I went to, they were total secular, and my parents were total secular. We didn't go to, we didn't observe any or synagogue, anything. But my father, from violin, he developed some kind of habit or I don't know or hobby, preserving the Yiddish music in Israel. Mm-hmm. So he had a little club of Yiddish lovers, and he himself was performing on a volunteering basis all around the country with the kind of repertoire of Yiddish songs. And so this beside it, when he went into retirement, 65 or whatever, 67 from the government, he made it into his full-time occupation, not professional, but and he was a warrior of the Yiddish language
Was he?
and folklore, not only language. More songs. Preserving Itzik Manger and preserving the music and the popular songs of the Jews of Eastern Europe.
Do you know any of the Yiddish songs? Do you remember them?
I understand Yiddish very well.
But do you
My
remember any of his
parents,
songs?
Avrum, my parents, once they moved to Israel, maybe they spoke some Polish. I don't remember. I think my mother spoke to me Polish because not long ago I was invited to Poland to a film festival, and every day that I was in the street, I realized that I understand more and more
It's
and more. So
interesting.
kind of it came back to my brain, but at some point they switched totally to Hebrew. But they among themselves they spoke Yiddish, and with all their friends they spoke Yiddish. In Israel, the Polish immigrants in Jerusalem spoke Yiddish. The Polish immigrants in Tel Aviv and Hulon kept speaking Polish,
Yes.
but not in Jerusalem. They all switched to Yiddish. So therefore, I understand Yiddish 90%. It's hard for me to speak, harder to speak, but I understand and
But do
I
you
know
remember?
most of.
Sam? Do you remember any of the songs?
Sure, I remember most
Like
of the
what?
songs.
Like what?
Shluf shemi ma ingale ma shine.
Can you sing it? Sing it too.
Ma
Sing it.
ingale ma shine, de eigenlich de bloinkech mach zu. A ingale was hosch in alle Zähnler, was noch dem am singen eilulu.
Can you translate it? Can you translate that?
Sure, this is a lullaby.
Go ahead.
Sing it to me. A mother sings to her through all the verses of the song. A mother sings to her boy, to her son, putting him to sleep. In every verse, he becomes, in her imagination, he becomes older and older, a young man, married man, etc. Big soichel. But the last verse, she said, "But meantime, you're still in bed, so please go to sleep." And it's
What
a beautiful.
about Oifen Pripachek?
Oifen Pripachik is a very famous popular song. Oifen Pripachik, Brenta fire on the Stebis haze. This is a rabbi. It's a very simple song, very few words which repeats themselves through the song. A rabbi, a teacher, sits with the young children in the cold outside, but hot inside, heiss with the Pripachik. Pripachik is the heater, and he's teaching them the Aleph Bet.
Yes.
The letter. Zugesh noch amul and agesh noch amul Aleph komets o zugesh noch, and then it repeats itself. Open Pripachik. There are a few verses, but it paints a little picture of a little room, and many Jews around the world with some kind of Eastern European background, they would know this song, even if they are very far from Judaism and folklore and culture, Yiddish culture. They would know this simple song, or much more complicated songs like Oifen Weg steht a Bäum. A tree stands on the middle of the road. Auf dem Weg steht a Bäum, steht eingebeugen. This is a philosophical song with a philosophical meaning. Sophisticated, was written during the war.
Do you know what it means? Can you translate it?
Yeah. It's a story about mother and a boy.
Yes.
And the boy sings the song. The voice, the storyteller is the boy. And he says, there is a lonely tree standing on the middle of the road. And every winter, all the birds are leaving, flying away from the tree, and the tree is lonely. And I feel sorry for the tree.
Oh, very nice.
So he's talking to the mother, and he said, I'm going to go sit on the tree and keep him a company. Which means he's growing up and he's leaving home. So the mother is worried, and she said, "Oh, how come you are leaving me and you are going to live with the tree and comfort the tree instead of comforting me?" And she said, "Well, but at least I will give you warm clothes so you will not freeze in the winter." So it's a metaphorical song about a kid leaving the house and the mother.
So, Sam, I think it's appropriate to say that between you going to theater Smadar and your father playing these beautiful songs, which were stories
Yeah.
that through that you probably develop your storytelling.
Probably it's hard to say. I mean, I never analyzed myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
my, my background. That's what I'm doing. Uh, Avrum, I have an education, a technical education. I am also I never practice electrical engineer.
Yes.
I studied. I
Yes.
know. I have all the knowledge. I realized early on in the 20s that my goal is telling story, not fixing some electrical stuff.
Although your hobby today is
Yeah, of
building
course,
furniture, right?
because it's easier
And
for me
some
because
metal work, some metal work.
yeah, I have no, yeah, yeah, but because I have technical background, of course,
Yes.
of course.
Yes. I find that most interesting. Most
But
interesting.
you do the same thing. You're telling stories. It's the same. So you have an urge. We have an urge. That's nothing. So maybe. But you write about this one thing in the Yiddish folklore. There are hundreds of thousands of songs. Many people try to collect all the Yiddish songs. It's impossible because you have the Romanian, Hungarian, Russian, Polish. There's the Yiddish culture is so vast and so wide. It's impossible, but mainly the songs are either telling stories, Yiddish songs, or are painting a picture of life. That's most of the songs in Yiddish, and most of the melodies are borrowed from gypsy, are based on gypsy music, gypsy melody.
Do you
All
like
the
the
klezmer music is a gypsy music.
Do you like the biblical characters? Like, really, my question is, what is Jewish about you? That's what I'm
So,
asking.
so we grew up. I told you we went to school, secular schools
Yes.
in Israel. uh, Studying Bible is mandatory. We have to, but it depends very much on the teacher what the interpretation will be. How do they look into it?
Yes.
So our teachers, the type of school that I went to, they the point of view they took the Bible in a historical and kind of how would I say mythical point of view. This is the mythos of the Jewish people.
Mhm, mhm,
And this is the history of the Jewish people and the laws. Now the sticky point was God. Is there a God or not?
mhm, mhm.
Because all the way, if you go socialism all the way to the left, there is no God,
No, no.
So obviously, so they struck the middle ground. They did not believe in miracles because we have been, halusim, socialists. Everything you have to do by yourself. You're responsible for everything you do. There is no some power that will come or superpower that will come and save you. You have to save yourself, or you have to create yourself, or you have
Yeah.
to establish everything. So this is the atmosphere we grew up in. So of course, as a child, for us, because the way that our teachers conveyed it to us was the story of the Jewish people. This was the Bible. Okay, there was a King David. There was once upon a time there was an Abraham. Once upon a time there was a King David, etc. And we developed, this nation have developed, and they went into diaspora and came back. Later on, of course, high school, you take it on a different level. You start to understand the metaphoric symbols in the Bible, the you know the story, the meaning behind the stories. What do they mean? What are the prophets, the Nevi'im? What did they mean? Not only what happened historically, but what was the meaning in a humanitarian moral sense, and more of a.
So, do you believe in God?
I don't. I'm a secular. I
No.
would say I'm almost atheist.
Have you ever found yourself in a foxhole praying to God, even though you don't believe in Him?
Never,
Never.
never. I I was brought up in this belief that you have to take care of yourself and you are responsible for everything you do. If you have a goal, you have anything, you have a problem, you go and solve it.
Okay.
It's
And
from the inside. It's from inside us, or with a group of human beings, of people.
and Iris, your wife, and your three daughters, do they believe in God?
My daughters, I don't know. My wife is like me.
They
She's
don't. Okay.
atheist,
Okay.
basically.
But do you do
Agnostic,
Passover? Do you do
agnostic at best.
at best.
Agnostic.
Do you
I am
do
atheist. I'm, but agnostic at best.
do you do
My wife.
Passover or high holidays?
Yeah,
What do you fast on Yom Kippur?
I fast, but this is my choice. It's my cleansing. It's my
It's your cleansing.
one
Okay.
day of body cleansing.
Okay. Okay.
I fast beyond. I fast 36 hours.
Oh, you do. You go further,
Yeah, because it's a cleansing. It's a health, you know.
but you don't pray at all? No. Okay.
But now at home, of course, we keep the tradition of within the frame of the Jewish people, you know. So we have that. We do the Passover. We do the. I don't go any. We used to go to synagogue. My father, which was also secular, as I told you, atheist as well, I believe. But he grew up, of course, in religious family. This is the generation who left, who were influenced by communism, socialism, all kind of new ideas. So they left religion. But of course, he grew up in. So one of his hobbies was to go to synagogues, to different. He used to schlep me to take me. We knew every synagogue in Jerusalem, but this was his hobby, to go to see Jewish people. And in other countries, he always goes and what. But but I do not. One of my activities, you don't know, but I'll tell you. I'm busy with many activities. One of my activities, I organize Hebrew sing-along in Los Angeles 3 times a year already for 15 years. And usually it happens in synagogue because we need place to conduct those kind of sing-alongs. So my visits to synagogues, I visit in a synagogue 3 times every year.
For the sing-alongs.
For the sing-alongs.
So let me ask you this: when October the 7th happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your response to it?
I was far away. I was not there. So we were in Israel in the summer. We have a place in Israel, and every summer we stay in our place. We go to Israel and we stay in Israel. So we were in Israel in the summer prior to the event. This was the summer of a lot of demonstrations. You know the story. In Tel Aviv, Kaplan, every weekend. And so this was the atmosphere when we were in last summer in Israel, and we left very divided. The society was extremely divided in point of view and opinions. When I heard about the infiltration and the massacre, I was surprised, because we all wanted to believe, and we all believed that the security situation is tight. Everything is okay. Everything is fine. We have a fence. We have nobody. And I know some people from Kfar Aza. In my military service, I was in the Nachal. I know the Nachal unit. Nachal unit is an agriculture unit. And we spent 3 years in kibbutzim, in agriculture atmosphere. Many of my friends live in Kfar Aza. And I was there not long ago, a few years ago, visiting my friends in Kfar Aza. So I know the picture there because I visited there. I've seen the fence, the protection. So we didn't believe that this will happen. I cannot say that so far away we experienced it in a very intense way, but we did experience this disappointment and pain, but from a distance, through television, through the radio, through a media, through talking with my friend, and some of my friends lost children. One of them, a child and a grandchildren. My friends, none of them was hurt. They were in a trip in Turkey at the day that it happened. So we were under this general, what do I say, shock or stress, or that probably fell upon all the people who live in Israel, know Israel, they know the situation, and Jews in general, because this whole situation that we did not expect, that after the Holocaust, after so many years, such a mini Holocaust will happen in the land of Israel, in Israel. And but it took a few weeks, and then we realized everybody has to make his own decision. But many people realized that they will not let such an event disrupt their life, which is the purpose of such an attack. The terrorist organization, they want to disrupt their life, and you cannot be defeated. Or we decided not to be defeated, and we continue with our life. And we just had not long ago, Independent Day. We had our first sing-along after the massacre, because we skipped 2 times because the mood was not there, and we decided that we are going on and will continue, and that's it.
Have you done anything for Israel since October 7th in your capacity?
I
Knowing
just donated my, people came to live in our house. People from the south were
Yeah.
using our apartment, because they needed.
Did you know do you know the people, Sam?
No.
What is it like when they move into your home? Do they call you?
No, I have a neighbor in our neighborhood.
Okay.
One of the young people. Every neighborhood's organized something. I don't know what happened in other places, but we live in a very small community, Neve Monoson, near Yehud. The community is a small place, and one of the young men, which I know, he and a group, I guess it was a committee, a group, decided to locate available apartment, and donate, try to arrange that the people who have been displaced from the south will be places to. So he arranged everything. I don't know the people. They said it was a young couple with 2 children.
That's all you. That's all you know.
From Ashdod. Yeah, they
Yeah.
sent us a picture once.
And no problems.
Now they already went back to Ashdod.
They didn't break anything.
Did not what?
They didn't break anything.
No, I hope so. No, very young, very lovely young couple. No, and our friend took care of everything.
It's beautiful what you did by donating your apartment. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's much. And as I told you, 3 weeks ago, Yom Ha'atzmaut, I arranged again a sing along. 150 people came, and I dedicated. I arrange the program usually. I'm not a musician. I have musicians who I bring in to lead the singing, but I arrange the program, and so I choose the song, the order of the songs, and the word or the stories between the songs, and I dedicated everything was dedicated kind of to this event. It was also Independent Day, Yom Ha'atzmaut, so we had few songs to do it, and all the rest of the song had to do something to do with either Aza or different events. We were looking at songs that are typical to different events that happen in the Israel history, the war in Lebanon, the war in Sinai, 6 Days War, the war of Yom Kippur. So and I led it to the way to this point of and many songs. I don't know if you know, many old Hebrew songs became kind of I would say symbols of what is happening right now in Gaza. Very famous song Habaita was performed by thousands musicians in Caesarea.
How does that go? How does it go?
It's a song from this Lebanon war, but it fits right into the situation right now.
How does the song go, Habaita? Can you sing a little bit?
Habaita, Habaita, ni na 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 na, harim min hegvaot. It's a song about coming back home. It was written during the Lebanon war, but now it's associated with the.
Okay. And Am Yisrael Chai?
I did not.
Do you know? Do you sing that song? Am Yisrael Chai.
No, we don't.
Who comes to these sing-alongs?
Most of them are older. There is a big Israeli community in Los Angeles. Huge, big. I don't have. We never have young people. They don't come.
Yes.
Most of those evenings are also nostalgic. That's also. So I have older population, let's say 50 and above, And then here and there, some young people will come, not very young, not the second generation. So people who love sing along, who love Hebrew songs, and they come and we sit for 2 hours and we sing.
You'll speak Hebrew?
I have the words. The words are on big screen. You know, I have
Oh,
the.
wow. It's quite the
And
nativity.
the evening is all conducted in Hebrew. It's
It's
not
all in Hebrew.
all in Hebrew.
And you have food there? Snacks?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
what?
we are a club,
Yeah.
the Leah's Hebrew Singing Club.
Leah?
We have a website. We have a YouTube channel with our.
Who's Leah? Who's Leah?
Leah was the original. Leah Alcala and myself. She was a musician, but she passed away
I'm sorry. I'm
tragically.
sorry.
That's it happened already 8 years ago, and then somebody else joined me. Some other musician. She was a musician, and so new musicians. They didn't want to stop the tradition just because she passed away, but we dedicated the name of the club. It used to be Israeli singing. It was the Hebrew singing club. Now it's Leah's singing.
Leah was a good woman, Sam?
Yeah, she was fantastic.
Special woman, yeah?
Good organizer and good musician and a singer, and she knew how to hold the crowd together, and she was a personal friend also of ours. Her and
Yeah,
her.
I'm sorry.
But now I have a producer. Her name is Anat Sadan, and I have a musical director, Amit Sternberg, and we are a group of musicians. And
Sounds lovely.
I'm in charge of the program.
It sounds lovely, and I love the name Amit Sternberg. I love that.
That's his name.
So Sam Firstenberg. We at some point in this interview we have to get around to your films. You and we'll do that now. You directed 24 films, right?
Yeah.
Here are some of them. For the Sake of a Dog, way back in 1979. One More Chance, Revenge of the Ninja, that was in 1983. Ninja 3, The Domination, 1984. Excuse me, Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo in 1984 as well. It was a busy year for you.
Yeah.
American Ninja 1985, Avenging Force 1986. We'll go all the way up to 2003, The Interplanetary Surplus, Mail and Amazon, Women of Outer Space, 2003, great title. And then it says here pre-production for the last Kumite. Did that ever happen?
No, I have decided not to direct.
Not to do it. Okay.
And it was done already. The movie is done already.
Well, Sheldon did stuff on the Kumite with Jean-Claude, right? Jean-Claude.
Sure. The original.
Yeah. Well, great films.
I forgot the name of the movie. Yeah.
So you said that when you were a kid, and you mentioned it in this interview as well, that you used to love Tarzan. And you said in an interview that was your low budget film for the time, that generation.
Yeah.
Somehow you brought that forward to the new crowd starting in the late 70s to develop films where there was good and bad, which is something that you got used to, you knew from your films and from the underdog, being the underdog, and you did it in a low budget way. So from my understanding, and tell me if I'm correct, you would go out and you would get private money.
No, not at all. No, not at all. No.
Is that's wrong?
No, Avrum, yeah. Listen, first of all, I didn't fall into this business. I went to school, undergraduate and graduate film school.
Yes.
So I took it seriously. When I decided that I'm going seriously into the movie business, first I went to undergraduate school, and took cinema, and later on I went to graduate school. Very Jewish school, Loyola Marymount University.
Yeah, very Jewish, yeah.
and
sort of Jewish like this, right?
So, but no, I took it seriously, and I always knew that I want to, and then I didn't know anything about making movies before I went to school. Nothing. I was never on a movie set. I was on when they were shooting Exodus in Jerusalem.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah, and so I realized that the man who tells the story in the movie business is the director.
Yes.
There are many technical. It's a very technical profession. There are many technical sides to or professions in making movies, but the one who tells the story are either the script writer and the director.
Yes.
So I knew this is my aim. Okay, I'm going to be a director, not a cinematographer, not an editor, a director. But my earlier jobs was all kind. I did everything in the movies in the beginning, in the 73, 74, electrician, sound recording, whatever came my way, because I wanted to be in this business. I didn't care whatever job was offered to me, but I knew my goal, and I pretty early on I became assistant director. And I was working on many movies as assistant director. Many, 5, 6 years, I was an assistant director. Antebe, Operation Antebe, I was assistant director.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Some not very famous, but I work with Billy Friedkin from The Exorcist, so meantime I was creating my own short movies. You mentioned one, For the Sake of a Dog, my own short movie. And toward the end of my studies of my in Loyola Marymount graduate school, I went to undergraduate, and then for 5 years I was assistant director, and I went back to school. So I was very experienced when I went to graduate school in the business, and I decided that during the 3 years that I'm there, I will make a movie.
Yes.
With the resources of the school. So I made this one movie, which is called One More Chance. Kirstie Alley came out of this movie. And it took a long time, because independently, with all kind of money from the university and using all the students and the school resources, but I finished. And it was a completed movie, One More Chance. I knew very well two Israeli producers, Menachem Golan and Yoram Globus, because I was assistant director in their company, and I was assistant director to Menachem Golan in the movie Operation Thunderbolt and other movies,
Yeah.
Lupo. And I went with this finished movie to them. We needed some more money to complete the movie. By then, they established themselves in Hollywood with a company, Canon Film. The name of the company was Canon Film. And they saw my movie, and it was not finished yet. We needed some more funds, and they decided that they will give us, me and my other partner, the funds to finish the movie, to complete the movie. And we did. We completed the movie. We went to film festivals. It's a small independent movie. And from that point on, they hired me to be a director, to direct movies that they produced. I was never involved from this point on in my career in putting together a movie.
Yes.
I was always hired. And this hiring a director, like a gun for hire, goes back traditionally to the old golden era of Hollywood. The early Hollywood directors of the 50s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the biggest ones, John Ford, whoever you want, they were not involved in putting their movie together. The studio hired them.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, make those movies. And so all my career was like this. I never had to look for money. I never had to put together. But we call them independent because the company, Canon Film, and other company who hired me later, they were all independent company. So every movie which is not made by the major studios is called independent. Only if you direct an MGM movie or you direct a Universal movie, it's called a major movie. Otherwise, it's an independent movie, but not independent in the way that I had to go and get the money or anything like this.
Well, what I found very interesting in an interview I was listening to, in light of what you just said, is that one of your films, or a couple of films that you were involved in, included a very well-known martial artist by the name of Sho Kosugi.
Kosugi.
Yeah, and there came a point where Canon decided that he wasn't going to be the main actor in their upcoming film. Your response to was that I don't really care if he's the main actor or not. It's not your business, right? So
Just
what happens? A director gets a script, you take it home, you read it, and you think it, you mull it through. You think, how am I going to approach this? Whether it's with Sho Kosugi as the main actor or not.
exactly the way you describe it.
Yeah.
The directors were for hire, not all of them. Of course, you have Quentin Tarantino. You have different type of directors. He writes the script. It's his idea. He built the whole thing, and it's a one man operation. Quentin Tarantino. But the directors who are for hire, you mentioned Sheldon, myself, same thing. Usually, a company. Usually, Sheldon is also writing. I do not write scripts. Usually, the company will call the director in. They decided to hire the director. They know that they can trust this particular man to eventually deliver a complete movie with a story, with beginning, middle, and a story that they can sell, a movie that they can sell. So they trust this person, and they say, "Oh, come over." Many times there is already a producer on the show. The director is not the producer, and they tell the director, "Hey, listen, we have this idea. We have a complete script, or we have a semi-complete script. We have an idea, we have a scenario, and we would like to make this movie." Many times they also have the stars already. The director is not involved in casting the star, because the star has to do with money and financing. So many times, they will call a director and they will say, Robert Redford is already in the movie, and here is the script, and take it from here.
Yes.
So yes, they give me so I'm the director. They entrust this whole production to me. They trust that I will deliver. I will bring a movie at the end of 6 weeks or the end of 3 months. Usually it's like 5 months, the whole process, 6 months. And I take the script, I read it. It's exactly the way you described it. And I say, okay, here is a script. Interesting. Wow. What can I do to make this movie more exciting, or this story more compelling, more exciting, more interesting? How can I make it appeal to a greater audience? And I work on it. So there is a pre-production story, a production. That a movie doesn't start with filming the movie. There is a big period, 3 months of preparation. And during this, I would work with the writer, with the original writer. Sometimes we bring a second writer to help me to improve, in my opinion, the script. It doesn't mean that I really improve it. Maybe I'm not. I do not. And then when we go out, at this point, kind of the director takes the reins.
Yes.
But once the filming starts, he is the king. Nobody will argue anymore with the director. Maybe the producer, maybe they will fight about money, about budget. But once the filming starts, it's all the show of the director. And very much like a conductor of an orchestra. Mozart wrote the score, but the minute the conductor takes over, that's
Yeah.
it.
Right.
He will conduct and he will shape the work with his orchestra the way he sees it.
Or in sports, the quarterback.
Well, but exactly.
He's the storyteller, right?
Exactly. So
Sam, what I find fascinating about the development of your craft is that while you were making a number of different martial arts films, action films as they called them, which were very, very local, which were very indigenous, as we would say, to the late 80s and the early 90s, there were other films that had an influence on you. Like what? Like Poltergeist, like
Sure.
The Exorcist, like Flashdance, right?
Sure.
And how that translated was when, to go back to Sho Kosugi, when he was told that he would not be the main actor, and instead it would be a young woman, they wanted to have a female lead, you decided that a spirit would go into her. Now that must have came from Exorcist, right?
Poltergeist, yeah.
Or Poltergeist, right?
Yeah.
How did that play out? Tell us
Okay.
about that.
Avrum, let me explain. There is within the movies, of course, there are different genres. There's comedies, and you have tragedies and dramas and action. Okay, action, science fiction, horror. Action is a huge part of movie making. James Bond, okay, whatever. James Bond and action movies. And within the action movies, there is the martial art movies.
Yes.
The king, the most prolific martial art movie makers is Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Most of the martial art movies were, I don't know today, but definitely in the 60s, 70s came from Hong Kong. And big stars, Bruce Lee, big stars came out of it within the world of martial art. When I entered this business of making movies, my notion was that I will make social conscious movies. I will make a Midnight Cowboy. Okay. I have never seen a Hong Kong movie, martial art movie in my life. Never, ever. Until I was introduced to Shokasugi. Of course, I saw a lot of action movies, as I mentioned. For example, all the James Bonds. Okay.
Yeah.
But I've never seen a martial art movie. I was very familiar with the Japanese movies of Akira Kurosawa, which are samurai movies. Samurai movies are not martial art movies. They are within the martial art, but it's not martial art. Samurai movies are different from what we used to call the kung fu movies.
The kung fu movies. Yeah. Yeah.
So when I was hired, when this company saw that I can direct a movie, okay, this guy can put together a movie. He knows beginning, middle, end, story. It works. And they entrusted me. They gave me this one script, which was called Revenge of the Ninja.
Mm-hmm.
And as I told you, I never seen martial art movie before in my life. So, and they said, there is this guy, Shokasugi. He's already signed, so I have nothing to do with hiring Shokasugi right in there. Shokasugi is the real thing. He came from Japan. He was a champion in martial art. Later on, I learned more and more about the world of martial art and competition and champions and Chuck Norris and all the different names and Jackie Chan. There are stars and superstars in the world of Jean-Claude Van Damme, in the world of martial art. Shokasugi was one of them, but from Japan, not from the Western world. He was a champion in Japan, the reigning champion of Japan. There are many different karate, judo. There are so many different styles, jiu-jitsu, and I was introduced to him. He was introduced to me. So luckily, he took me under his wings, and he said, "Okay." He said, "I will teach you what it means, what this martial art." He showed me the first Hong Kong movies that I ever saw in my life. And I was fascinated.
Yes.
Never mind the story, never mind the character, but the action part of those movies are fascinating. The battle scenes, the fighting scenes, the chases, the whatever, the
weapons, the
weapon, the combat. And so he introduced me to this field. And I realized that I don't have to be an expert of martial art. All I have to understand is how to make an action movie. It doesn't matter if it's a World War II movie, if it's Tarzan, or it's all the same. It's just different style of fighting, or different style of weapon, or different style. And that's how I was introduced to him. And so I directed this movie, Revenge of the Ninja, with Shokasugi. And it so happened that the movie was a success within the world of martial art, independent movie. MGM, which is a major company, took it for distribution, and they distributed the movie big way all over the America, North America, and the movie had a considerable success. Again, not a studio movie, considerable success. So the company immediately, Hollywood, what do? You have a success, you do a sequel, you make
another one, yeah.
Make more money, okay. So they decided to go further. Revenge of the Ninja was already a sequel to a movie that was called Enter the Ninja.
Yes.
So okay, Ninja 3. They wanted Shokasugi, or maybe they had a contract with him. I don't know the details. I'm not part of the financial side of the movie making. But they didn't want him. He was the lead. He was the star of Revenge of the Ninja, and he's good. He's beyond good. He's unbelievable in martial art when it comes to martial art, in performance, in knowledge. He choreographed the fight. It was amazing. He was amazing. But for some reason they decided they don't. Maybe they had a fight with him. Maybe I don't know, argument. I don't know what. They don't want him to be the star anymore. But he still needs to be in the movie. Now, what I took into the movies, into this martial art movies, from my, let's say, subconscious, is that whatever I knew about samurai movies, Seven Samurai, Yojimbo, Sangiorno, famous Akira Kurosawa samurai movies, especially Seven Samurai and Yojimbo, the two most famous. So I took some elements that I have learned, so to speak, learned from those samurai movies, incorporated them into the ninja movie. Shokasugi was all for it. He was working with it, and I incorporated element of so-called Western action movies,
Yes.
James Bond, which is not not was not typical to the Hong Kong movie. Nowadays they do, because they saw the movie, they saw those movies, Revenge of the Ninja and American Ninja, and they started to incorporate what we call regular action into the martial art movies. And we did it right away. I wanted to do it right away in Revenge of the Ninja. So, of course, the director brings influence into the movie that he's making. He is shaping and influencing the script based on sometimes on conscious decision and sometimes on non-conscious decision, subconscious decision, because things are buried in the mind of the director that he not necessarily
Yes.
remember those things in a conscious way, but they are there.
Yes.
And you make some kind of a choice, and maybe later, years later, you say, wow, now I know why I made this choice. It's buried in my mind. The influence, I saw so many movies, I read so many books, I saw so many plays, or incidents in life, encounters in life, and now I realize that I brought it into the movie, or other people will. So when they didn't want him and they wanted a woman to lead the movie, and we couldn't figure out how to resolve the problem. I was given the same writer. Jim Silk was the writer of Revenge of the Ninja, and he was hired also to write this movie, Ninja 3: The Domination. And there was no script, and I'm talking with him, and we couldn't figure out how to come up with a story with a woman, appease Shokasugi so he will not be mad, pissed off that he's not in the lead part anymore, and then I don't know how, and I don't know whose idea was it, myself or Jim. I think I suggested it to Jim. I said, let's make her be possessed by the spirit of a real ninja. She is not a real ninja, but she has a very good athletic capabilities. and a dead ninja spirit possesses her. Obviously, Poltergeist and
The Exorcist, yeah.
And the Exorcist. So this is too obvious. And now she's performing the deceased ninja wishes, and she acquires his abilities. But at the end of the movie, the spirit moves back to the. So that's how it came about. And we were also influenced by the movie Flashdance, because she's a dancer. We decided that she's a dancer in the movie. So there are influences, of course. And listen, also, you look at Tarantino movie, and he admits in some of his movies he was influenced by Revenge of the Ninja. So people
he said that.
Yeah, he made those two movies, Kill Bill, right?
Yes, Kill Bill, yeah, Kill Bill 2, yes.
Yeah, Kill Bill 1, Kill Bill. So those movies, he says, he was working in a rental shop, VHS rental, when he was young. And he said, I used to watch all the time the Canon movies, the Sam Firstenberg movies, but not necessarily copy. He didn't necessarily go. But obviously, when you see Kill Bill, you see elements from the ninja movie.
Was that like a huge compliment to you?
Yeah,
for sure, right? And what's interesting is that you showed one of your films, I think it wasn't that long ago, in his theater that he owns, right?
To the best of my knowledge, I was told, Tarantino has a collection of movies, physical, not video, physical movies, 35 millimeter movies. He has a big collection, big library. And in his collection, one of the movies in his collection is Ninja 3: The Domination, in his private collection.
And he also showed at his theater, which is the Beverly Cinema,
Yeah.
Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo.
We had a Breaking Two was 40-year anniversary this year,
Yeah, Muzzle Tough.
and there was an event in the Beverly Cinema, a midnight screening, honoring for the 40 anniversary screening, and they invited me, and I invited the stars. I found the stars of the movie came, and many of the dancers. It was quite an event.
Are
it,
you
was, it was a full house.
are you in touch with the Michael Dudikoffs, the Shokasogis, the actors in your films? Are you in touch with them at all?
Not very much. Shokasugi moved back to Japan, and not. But the only one I'm in contact with is Michael Dudikov. He lives not far from here, and we are friends. And Lucinda Dickey, that was the star of Ninja 3: The Domination. She was
Yes.
a ninja, but then she became the star also of the two breakdance movies. So I arranged for her to come to the screening. She came to the screening. The fans were crazy. For 45 minutes, they wouldn't let her. They asked for her
Really?
autograph for like 45 minutes. We couldn't start the screening.
It must
They
be. It must be
notified.
Sam. It must be so nice for you, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, it must be lovely.
it is, because think about it. And I talk about it with other directors from my genre. Let's say Sheldon or Joe Zito, and most movies, if you take movies in general, the entire lot of movies ever made in Hollywood, from the beginning,
The whole body.
most of those movies are disappearing. I call it, they disappear in the abyss of time. They
Yes.
disappear. Most of the books disappear. And then there is a pyramid of some movies who stand the test of time.
Yes.
So people don't forget them. Some of them are classic. Rocky, Casablanca, low budget movies, but they made it to eternity. I'm not talking even about much bigger, Gone with the Wind and other. But most of the movies, 80%, they disappear. They can be big budget, they can be with big stars sometimes. They disappear. And very few movies, if you count all the millions of movies or hundreds of thousands of movies who have been made in the 100 years of the existence of cinema, somehow they surface and they don't sink in the abyss. So it's quite a good feeling and honor to at least some of them. Not, I directed 24 movies. Most of them are in the abyss and they disappeared over there. But some of them did not. They stood the test of time, and
The
there are,
ninja films.
especially American Ninja. American
Well,
Ninja.
why, Sam? Why? Why?
That's a very difficult question. If let's start from the end, from the back. If producers knew the secret to
Yes.
this question, all of them had been millionaires and billionaires.
Yes.
The taste of the audience is unpredictable. You cannot. Who knows? Somebody makes a Barbie and millions and millions, hundreds of millions of people around the world come and see it, and then they make another sequel to another movie, and nobody wants to go and see it.
Yes.
The taste of the audience is the biggest enigma, the biggest of entertainment. The taste of and the audience is the final judge. No matter what you do, comedy act, book, opera, whatever you try to video game, you try to entertain people. Are they accepting it? Will they accept it and carry it on for many years? People don't know. So, but there is some. One of the elements in cinema is the charisma of the actors on the screen. That's
Yes.
very important. The charisma and the chemistry that they project to the audience. Can the audience identify with the stars of the movie? And can the audience identify with the drama that happens in the movie? Can they identify with the antagonist, with the protagonist, and hate the antagonist? Are all the elements working in a way that the drama and the performance of the actor are eternal, will carry on? We can see some movies, you can see Gone with the Wind, it works no matter how many years.
Mhm.
We see Casablanca, it's a 50 years old movie, 60 years old movie, and it's still exciting as in the way the day it was made, because of so many tiny reasons. Humphrey Bogart, and the chemistry between them, the lines, the we don't know why,
But
but
let's look at it from the other side, okay?
yeah,
You go to a Polish art or cinema show. You go to all these various different movie. What do they call it? The Toronto Film Festival.
form.
Many across America, many across Europe, and so on. I think a lot of people probably attend knowing that you're there because of your ninja film. So who are these people who approach you? I noticed that in one of your interviews, the fellow who was speaking to you, probably middle aged, he actually wore a uniform from the ninja movie, and
Yeah.
he was in absolute awe of the choreography of the fight of the actors. Who are these people?
So listen, Avrum, every pot has a cover. Every cover has a pot. I don't know. There are Michiganders all over the world for everything. Some people are crazy about yoga, and some other people are crazy about meditation. And there are a bunch of people around the world, big, huge portion of the population of the world, who are crazy about movies
Yeah.
in general, not necessarily action movie. And there, within this huge lot of people who are crazy about movie, love movie, there is a subgroup who love martial art movies. There,
Yes.
there are magazines and there are websites and conventions which deal only with this subject, martial art movies. And yes, so so they love it. They're followers, they're fans. Why are they so? I don't know. How can I? What can I tell you? But they're loyal followers, and for some reason, some of them are not not only, but they love they're a big enough group that love and follow the movies, the martial art movies that I directed. But there are another group who will follow Van Damme movies, and there is another group who will follow Schwarzenegger movies.
Well, I'll tell you from my own point of view. I was watching American Ninja this morning.
Yeah,
I was watching American Ninja this morning, and the main character Joe,
yeah.
he took on all those ninjas who came over from Asia, and he wiped them all out. And I'm sitting there thinking, I want him to beat the crap out of these guys. I want him to win, and I want him to do it in such a beautiful way. Like you called them ballet dancers, right?
Yeah.
Because I think there was something about those scenes which made me feel good about myself.
Well, you're touching the secret of drama, the heart of drama. If a drama is crafted correctly, and you go all the way back to the Greek drama, Greek theater, all we want as an audience, all we want is to go somewhere for 2 hours, 3 hours, 2.5 hours, 1.5 hour, leave this reality behind
Yes.
and engage ourselves in a different reality. It's called the
Yes.
alternative reality. And all we want is to identify, to empathize with the hero, with a hero that personify what we don't have. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
We want to be good people. We want to be so. We want to be like Gary Cooper in the Western. That's what we want to be. So we have this chance for 2.5 hours if the drama works, and if the actor carries it, and we are there, and we want to be with him, sympathize with him. We want him to win. So sometimes, in some movies, going back to your question, in some movies, all the star aligns, everything works, and it's there. Many movies it doesn't.
Yes.
And again, it doesn't matter if it's action or some people don't like action. So these action movies are for boys, not for girls. Let's say not that there are not many. I have many women followers, but 90% men. And then there are chick flicks. And then there are tearjerkers. So there are different type of genres or different type of movies.
You know
So
who really figured that out is in the marketing of Saturday Night Fever. Their line was Tony Manero, all the women want to be with him, all the men want to be like him. And that's
so
very
yeah.
true. That's
So,
very true.
so yes, there are. So we sit there, and if it works for you, the action, if you appreciate, because excitement works for us. We like to see
Yes.
something exciting. We don't walk in the street and we see Shokasugi beat the crap out of
Right,
bad
right,
guys.
right. That's right.
So, but we sit in the theaters and it's done in a theatrical way, in a very extravagant way. So that's again, you come back to the job of the director. The director is in charge and is responsible to make it all exciting, compelling, and yeah, many times it is, and you see it nowadays with the superhero movies. Here comes one superhero movie that is terrific, or the Fast and the Furious, and the next one is boring.
Yes.
Why? It's
Right.
hard to tell. One Iron Man works very well. The next Iron Man, nobody goes and see.
Right.
Nobody wants to see.
Sam,
All
are you a happy man today?
I am a happy person, optimistic and happy person.
You seem that way. You have a lovely smile.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You do. You have a lovely smile. Like I can feel your energy. You're in LA. I'm in Toronto, 3 hours difference. But I can feel your happiness. I can feel your sense of satisfaction. So when you look back on your 24 films, that body of work, in Hebrew or Arabic, they say "Atam mabsut."
Mabsut.
Are you satisfied? Are you mabsut?
Yeah, listen. And if you are lucky enough to have your job being your hobby, you're lucky.
Yeah.
You're a lucky man or a lucky woman. If what you do in life for your parnasa, for your welfare, is also
Making a
your hobby,
living. Yeah.
so making a living with your hobby, with what you love, well, you're lucky. If you are a poet and you can make a living
Yeah.
just writing
Right.
poets, you are lucky. So I was. For me, it was in a sense this whole career of making movies that I came, I arrived to the toy shop, to the toy, and somebody told me you can play with all the toys for free.
Yeah.
Not only this, we will pay you money to play with those toys.
Yes.
And I was always wondering, wow, somebody pays me money to make movies? I would I would have done it for free as
That's
well.
what they say. That's right. That's what they
Yeah,
say.
so I fell into exactly the place that I felt the most comfortable and what I wanted to do. And all the people who make movies, they were exactly people like me, my family. They understood me, I understood them. I arrived home. Only when I was 22 years old, I arrived home.
Habaita.
Habaita. So yes, I'm very happy. But and to top it, so this was fantastic, just being able to do it. But to top it off, on top of it, at least five of the movies that I made are being resurrected now,
Yeah.
40 years later, 35 years later,
Yeah.
when I'm 74, and I'm invited. I was just told that toward the end of the month, the movie Riverbend will be playing in Boston. Riverbend with Steve James. We have a screening in Boston on the 22nd of this month in a film festival. It's called the Roxbury Film Festival in Boston, and I'm going there.
It's interesting about that. Steve James has passed away. So this is in memory of him. And also the whole process of putting that film together. Somebody bought a copy of it on eBay in South Africa because you
The
couldn't
movie
find it,
Riverbend,
right?
the movie Riverbend, which deals with racial injustice in the South,
Yeah.
was really, really independent. Was privately financed, not by a company, by a private man in Texas. And we made it. And with the year, the movie disappeared. This happened. Things like this happened. The movie kind of disappeared because there is, for some legal and right issues, complicated issues, and the movie kind of disappeared. And there is this one guy, Michael Dennis, who has a website which is called Real Black, and he really resurrect and he's looking for black cinema. And Riverbend is basically black cinema. Most of the cast are black actors, and the subject. And he wanted, and there was only around what people could see the movie was a VHS, very poor quality VHS copy, and he decided to bring it back to high quality. So he needed a print, a physical print, and couldn't find a print. He found the print in eBay in South Africa. He shipped it, and they scanned this physical print in a high definition quality. We corrected the color. We removed, not I physically, but expert removed all the scratches, and there is a beautiful beautiful digital copy right now, and he's now going around, Michael, with different festivals. But ironically, since then we found another print here in America, which is probably in a better quality than the one that we scanned. I don't know if he's trying to get the rights to scan the better print. We'll see what happens. But anyway, it's beautiful. I was just in Texas 2 months ago in the Denton Black Film Festival, and we screened it for the first time on a big screen. It looks glorious, beautiful colors and fantastic condition. The sound is good, the music sounds good, and the quality of the picture, the visual is fantastic. So,
were you ever worried about your retirement? What would you do?
no, I don't have time to myself. Believe me, I'm always busy.
Good. I'm happy to hear that.
Between the sing-along, gardening, building furnitures, the preservation of the legacy, I'm always.
So you're happy you're not making films anymore?
Yeah.
You're fine with it?
It's a hard work.
It's a lot
for
of
the
work.
director. I'm not interested in making very tiny, small movies, which probably nobody will see. And the type of movies that I did direct, they require about between 6 and 9 months of your life. And during the filming, the working day is like 16 hours for the director every day. But this is not the main reason. But I was part of a group of certain type of cinema which disappeared, which is not being made anymore. The type of cinema that we made is not being made anymore. Toby Hooper, myself, Sheldon Lettich, Bob Redford, Joe Zito. This cinema does not exist anymore. The cinema
it was beautiful.
Ragged action, medium budget movies.
It was beautiful what you said about that previously, that because the stunts were real, there's nothing digital. Digital didn't exist. You said that the audience could feel the pain.
I believe so. So I believe, and so I hear from people and younger people, younger generation who watch this movie. Of course, today's action movies are so spectacular; it's unbelievable. You watch the Fast and the Furious; they look fantastic.
Yes.
They really. In the action, the fight sequences, but they rely heavily on optical digital effect, computerized generated images that really don't exist in reality, which is okay. You go to theater, you want to fantasize. Beautiful, fine. But if you go to those old movies, Van Damme, Michael Dudikoff, Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone movies, you know that everything, or you feel, even if you don't know, as an audience, you can feel it, that everything that you see in the screen is actually performed.
Yes.
They did not put the actor on cable, flying, and in the back of him there is some kind of reality which is not real. No, those actors, if they fell to the ground, they fell to the ground.
They actually fell
to the ground. If Stallone had to run, he ran. He did it in the forest, and you can feel it. There is something about it that you can feel it, undeniable. And that's they like it. Many people like this feeling. It's not they don't dislike the other movies just because of this, but they get this kind of a different thrill, different kind of a feeling when they watch the movies.
I was reading that Schwarzenegger is now doing a new show. It's a series, and I think it's called Farbar or some strange name. Apparently, at 75 years old, he's doing his own stunts.
If he's athletic and if he's in shape, why not?
Yeah. I want to
I mean,
thank.
they're always doubles, they're always
No,
stunt
that I know. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but still, he's an impressive human being,
doubles.
physically.
Sure.
I want to thank Marco Freitas. Marco is someone that I interviewed here on my podcast, the Avrum Rosensweig Show. He has also interviewed you. Marco's a beautiful guy from Brazil, and he made what we call the shidduch between me and you. He brought the two of us together. And I have to tell you something. I'm so grateful, Sam, because I really appreciate your thoroughly positive outlook on your life. I really do. It's palpable. Like I can feel it. And it's nice to meet a happy man.
Yeah. It's all a matter of a point of view.
Yes.
Avrum, let's end up with a little story I'll tell you about India.
Please.
I made a movie in India once. I spent 5 months in India, in southern India, not in the big city. And we walk in the street, and I try to accustom to learn Indian culture. One day, I walk with a group of my friends. We were a small group from America. And most of the crew was Indian, and we hear music. We hear something happening, and we go and we see kind of a house, very low, tiny house, which is very low, and apparently the happiness, the celebration is in that. And they saw us, the people inside. So they're chatting, talking, and say, "Come in. They are celebrating something. We don't know. I don't know." We walk into a house which is basically a cave. It was not a house. There was no floor. Yeah. You walk on earth, on dirt, and this whole house is like a small, tiny cave. And inside there is the deities and the fire and candles, and there are food. Obviously, very, very, very poor family, obviously. But not only at the moment, I don't know everyday life, but at the moment they were so happy. And they were so happy. They invited us, and they want to share this little thing they have. The little they have, they want to share with us. Yes. And so, okay, happiness doesn't have to do with materialistic and physical stuff. Happiness is a point of view of life. That's it.
Beautiful
Do you
story.
Look at the half empty glass or the half full glass?
Beautiful story. Sam Firstenberg, thank you so much for being with us today. I so appreciate it, and I hope we stay in touch, because I love your stories and I love what you do with your life. It's just beautiful. Kol hakavod to you. All the honor.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for sharing my stories. And there are more stories in my website, samfirstenberg.com, and Facebook page, and Instagram, and YouTube. I like to tell stories and to share stories, and people can find it starting with samfirstenberg.com and going from there.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us. It's been a really special interview. What I would ask everybody is, please watch this interview closely and learn from an individual, from a man who has great accomplishments so far in life, and you should live a much longer, a long life, and try to emulate it. If you're having problems sort of finding your goal, your zone, as we call it, listen to what Sam has to say in terms of embracing what came his way, the ability to play with all those toys. And he said he was so surprised that they were paying him, he would have done it for free. And I've heard that from many, many people. Many creative people will say, I got up there on stage, I played the music that I love, and at the end they gave me a check. I go, what are you paying me for? Right? Because it all comes from the heart. It all comes from the soul. So thank you for watching. We look forward to being with you again. Until then, have a lovely day, a lovely week, and God willing, there should be peace in our world as early as today.